When I finally had enough money to open my dream business, I felt proud, not just for myself, but for my family. After years of struggling, I was finally doing something meaningful. A small but promising venture. But I couldn't manage it alone. I was working full-time, trying to juggle life. So I turned to someone I trusted, my older sister. She was jobless at the time. Things had been hard for her since her last relationship ended badly. I thought maybe this would help her too. Give her purpose. A fresh start. I didn't just make her a manager, I gave her full control. Access to the bank account, suppliers, everything. At first, things went well. She gave me reports. Sales were coming in. Customers were happy. I even began to think I had underestimated her all along. Until one day, a supplier called me directly, asking for payment. I was confused. Didn't my sister handle that already? I asked. No, he said. She hasn't paid in over 2 months. I froze. I rushed to the shop. It was half empty. The shelves looked tired, neglected. The cash drawer had barely anything inside. I confronted her. At first, she denied everything. Then she blamed customers. Then the economy. But it didn't take long for the truth to come out. She had been funneling money to her boyfriend. Buying him clothes. Paying for his rent. Even lending him part of the money to start his music career. My knees nearly gave out. I had trusted her. With my dream. With my investment. With everything I had built. I went straight to the police. And that's when the second heartbreak came, my parents. Instead of supporting me, they turned on me. She's your sister, my mother shouted. Why disgrace the family like this, my father said. Money can come back. Family won't, they warned. I stood there, silent, as they defended her. The girl who watched me eat once a day to save enough for that business. The same sister who told me she'd protect it like her own. Now, I'm the bad one. For demanding justice. They say I should forgive. That blood is thicker than pain. But when the people closest to you are the ones who break you, who do you run to then? I didn't sleep the night after the arrest. Not because I regretted it, but because I couldn't believe how quickly everything turned. The people I thought would stand by me, my own parents, now looked at me like a traitor. Like I had done something unforgivable. My phone kept ringing. Unknown numbers. Aunties. Cousins. Even our church elder called to advise me that arresting family was not the way to handle things. No one asked how much I lost. No one asked how I was surviving. No one cared that I had poured my soul, my life, into that business. All they saw was a sister in handcuffs and a brother who went too far. The day after, I went to the shop. It was quiet. Dusty. Like it had already given up. I sat on the floor for over an hour, just staring at the shelves she once stocked. The receipts she no longer filed. The empty cash box. I thought of letting it go. Closing it down. Maybe everyone was right, maybe I was too harsh. But then I remembered the day I handed her the key. She hugged me and said, I won't let you down. She didn't just let me down. She burned it to the ground. A few days later, her boyfriend was released on bail. Apparently, one of his friends helped him. She was still in custody, waiting for a court date. That's when my parents came to the house. They didn't greet Ada. They didn't ask about my child. They came straight to the point. Withdraw the case, my father said. Let it end here. I looked at him, calmly. Why didn't you say anything when she was stealing from me? She made a mistake, my mother replied. But family doesn't throw family in jail. She didn't just make a mistake, I said quietly. She made a choice. Every day. Over and over again. My father raised his voice. So you want her to rot in prison? I didn't answer. Because it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about the message. That it's okay to hurt the one person who trusted you, as long as you're family. That being blood means you can do wrong and walk free, while the one you hurt is told to let it go. I looked them both in the eye and said, I'm not withdrawing anything. And for the first time in my life, I saw it in their faces, not disappointment. But fear. Because they knew. I wasn't the same boy who once begged for approval. I was a man who had learned the hard way, even family can be strangers. After they left, my house felt heavier. Not because I doubted my decision, but because I realized something. I had outgrown my place in the family. Not by choice, but by pain. They still saw me as the younger one. The one who should stay quiet, obey, sacrifice. But I had sacrificed enough. Dreams. Savings. Even dignity. I couldn't do it anymore. A week passed. I didn't hear from my parents again. But the messages didn't stop. My uncles, my cousins, even people who never called me before, started reaching out, not to support me, but to pressure me. Some used guilt. Some used scripture. One even said, "What if your daughter does this to your son one day? Would you want her in prison?" And yet, not one person said, "I'm sorry this happened to you." Then the court date came. I walked into that courtroom alone. No family. No support. No apology from her. She stood there beside her lawyer, looking small. No makeup. No nails. The sparkle she always used to mask the truth, gone. She wouldn't even look at me. The judge asked if I wanted to proceed. In that moment, my mind split in two. One part of me remembered every betrayal. Every sleepless night. Every time I doubted myself because of her choices. That part wanted justice. But the other part, the tired part, just wanted peace. Not for her. For me. And so I stood up, looked at the judge, and said, "I'm dropping the charges." But I want it on record, not because she's family. Not because I forgive her. But because I'm choosing to move forward without carrying this burden anymore. The judge nodded. Case dismissed. She never said thank you. She just walked out, head down. I walked the other way. When I got home, Ada opened the door and saw my face. "You did the right thing," she asked. "I did the necessary thing," I replied. That night, I changed the locks on the shop. Got rid of the old records. Cleaned every shelf myself. Not because I needed the business again. But because I needed a fresh start, one that wasn't tied to anyone's betrayal. And for the first time in months, I slept. Deeply. Peacefully. Because I had finally let go. But not forgotten. The shop stayed closed. I still hadn't decided what to do with it. Ada told me to give myself time, not everything had to be rebuilt immediately. One morning, I got a text from my sister. Just a single sentence. "You've changed." No apology. No remorse. Just that. I stared at it for a while before locking my phone and going back to feeding my daughter. She giggled as she smeared pap all over her tiny face, completely unbothered by the storms adults create. Ada looked at me and smiled. "You don't have to reply." "I won't," I said. And I meant it. Because the old me, the one who begged to be heard, who gave too many chances, who let guilt speak louder than truth, he was gone. Instead of reopening the business, I sold it. The space. the equipment, everything. And with that money, I started something new. Something smaller. Online. Quiet. Mine. No partners. No managers. No shared accounts. Just me and peace. My parents. We still spoke, but it was never the same. I stopped trying to explain myself. I no longer showed up at every family event, no longer sent monthly support. I had learned that love given out of obligation isn't love, it's control dressed as tradition. Let them call me cold. Let them say I changed. Because they are right. I did change. I changed into someone who now protects his peace, guards his purpose, and no longer gives loyalty to people who would never bleed for him the way he bled for them. And as I stood on my balcony one evening, holding my daughter close, I whispered something into the wind. Thank you for betraying me. You forced me to become everything you never believed I could be. Months later, I stood in front of a new office, smaller, quieter, but mine. No secrets. No shared trust misused. Just slow, steady growth, one honest day at a time. I didn't tell anyone in the family. I didn't announce it online. No pictures. No fanfare. I had learned something most people never do. Sometimes, success is best served in silence. My sister never reached out again after that last message. My parents. They eventually stopped asking me to visit. The calls grew less frequent. And I no longer chased them. Not out of anger, but out of acceptance. Some people only value you when you're bending. And I don't bend anymore. One Saturday afternoon, I took Ada and our daughter to a small restaurant, just us. As we ate, laughed, and watched our little girl dance to the music playing from the speakers, I felt it, that rare feeling many never truly taste. Peace. Not because everything was perfect. Not because I'd forgotten the betrayal. But because I had finally chosen me. My boundaries. My voice. My healing. And as I looked at the two people who stood by me when no one else did, I knew one truth that would stay with me forever. Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who doesn't spill it when life gets hard. And with that, I closed the chapter. Not in bitterness, but in strength.